welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time, but I am back, and probably been back about 2 weeks, but it's taken that amount of time really to get on top of things at home. You know, you don't leave a property this size for 2 months without having to do a bit of catch-up work when you get home. So I'm more or less on track now. And I have to admit that a lot of this travel journal that I'm going to share with you today was completed here at home. We were busy. It was a busy trip, and I really didn't have the time or the space to work on this journal. But I did have a notebook with me, which I've lost at the moment. I've tidied up my craft room. I had a notebook that I filled in lots of detail, and I took loads of pictures. So this really is more like a picture journal. Okay, now I'm going to try and add some video footage too, because in some places I took small videos. So I thought I'd try and add a few of those in. There won't be that many. They're just short little clips I took along the way. So this is my book, and you can see it is very chunky, and I've used this ribbon to hold it fairly close. I mean, I'm not trying to push it too much because I don't think the spines would take it, but these are 1-inch ring binders. If anybody knows where I can get larger ring binders, please let me know. For the Zutter machine, I've only got up to 1 inch, and really, you know, if I could get bigger, I'd probably rebind this book just to keep it. I mean, it's not too bad, but you know, it probably would look better. It stands pretty well, as you can see. Okay, now these bits are where I've got video clips to add into this show and tell, if you like. So I added a few more bits to the front cover, and you can see my husband very cleverly said, on the shelf, are you going to know what that journal is? I mean, yes, I would, I think. But as he said, the more ring-bound journals I do, the harder it will be to pick. So I've added the 2024, which is obviously this year's holiday. And it's a holiday 7 years in the making, so, you know, there was a fair bit to do. Whoops, that's come off one of the pages. We'll pop that there. So if we open the journal, I also added a card here with, I stamped Europe 2024 in there. All right, I may or may not talk through this. As I say, I will be adding video clips, so bear with me. This is probably going to be a very long video. Okay, so the first page this was a calendar of the days we were away. Some I filled in, but not all. Okay, so page 1. I actually found some of these little cards in an antique shop. They're little cigarette cards. They're mostly to do with travel, trains, but I couldn't resist them, so I've added one into here, and I've written about the 7-hour train trip, okay, before 14 hours to Doha, and then a 9-hour stopover, and 7 hours to Manchester. So it was a very long day, that first day we arrived. We arrived quite relieved to be there, but I have to say we had the most pleasant flight. I'm going to write a bit more here about this because the 9-hour stopover was quite interesting. So here I've written about our trip. And I've just added it to a card with a couple of pictures, horrible pictures, on the flight, and also boarding card. Okay, so that's in that pocket. This was another piece. We very fortunately travel business class, so we were able to go into the lounges, which was very nice, particularly when we got to Doha. Okay, so here we go. Now, this was in Liverpool, and in Liverpool they were very badly bombed during the war, and because it was a dock area, ships in there and so forth, a lot of the houses were destroyed. And my husband remembers playing in areas where there used to be houses. They used to call them bomdies. And what they did with the rubble was they took it down to the shoreline. This is sort of the mouth of the Mersey. And they scattered it all there. I think at one time it was probably covered in sand, but over the years that has washed away. And it is quite an interesting place. And you can pick up some interesting bits of structure. There's history there. So I've called this Seashells on the Seashore, but not quite. Okay, so that's that page. And here I've listed a few of the things that happened while we were away, things that happened over there. You know, Liverpool is a big area. They have a big entertainment section. And there were a couple of concerts, Taylor Swift and Pink. And funnily enough, those concerts were both held at Liverpool's football ground. So it was interesting. We were staying not far from there. We thought we might hear some of the music, but we didn't. Okay, Ian's birthday was while we were away. They had an election in France. We were there for Bastille Day. And of course, once we got back to the UK, the Olympics was opened. And this one was a bit sad. There was a very tragic incident in Southport, which is, you know, it's quite a nice area of Liverpool. So here we go. This is the first area where I will add a little bit of video. This is Port Sunlight, which is a beautiful area. It was built, I've written about it here, I think. Yeah, these are some of the places we visited, and we always go. Port Sunlight, homes built during the 1880s for the Sunlight soap workers, basically. And there is the Lady Lever art gallery, and they have a huge selection of Wedgwood, and the video will show some of that Wedgwood. Over here, these are the two cathedrals in Liverpool. If you know the song, there are two cathedrals in Liverpool. And this time we visited the very modern Roman Catholic Cathedral. From the steps up there, you can see the Anglican Cathedral just down the way. Over here, I have got a bit of a video. This is the main library in Liverpool, the reading room, and this beautiful library that was donated, and some of the books in there are absolutely amazing. So I will now share you a bit of video on that spot. So we also went to Chester, which is another favourite spot. It is a Roman walled town. So that was a few pictures there, and I've written about it. And there was actually, we went to, I haven't got a picture of it here, yes. We went to the cathedral there, and there'd been a big wedding the weekend before we went. The Duke of Westminster, who is one of the wealthy gentlemen in the UK, was married there. So it was a big occasion for Chester, apparently. So that's that page, and you can see I've used parts of a boarding card for a pocket. I tried to use a few of the bits. Okay, the next place we visited was Lytham Hall, and I like Lytham. I like it very much. And Lytham Hall in particular is beautiful. And they do hold weddings there, which I think would be fantastic. Lovely, beautiful gardens. That was a nice trip, and I've written a bit about it there. We went with good friends of ours over in the UK. And this is Lytham St Anne's. They've got the beach houses down on the front there. Sometimes the tide goes out a long way, and I haven't added it, but there was a picture of the lifeboat being brought in on the back of a trailer. And the trailer was driving across the sand. The tide was so far out. Okay, now we booked 4 days away. We went down towards the centre, or the Midlands, I should say, and we stayed at this place, Anstey Hall, which was beautiful. Beautiful old home that is now a hotel. And whilst we were there, we did a few things. We went to Warwick Castle, and that was fantastic. You could easily spend a full day there. It was quite nice that day, as I recall. The weather was reasonable. We had a real mixed bag of weather. This is all to do with Warwick Castle. So that was there. And then on another day, we went to Conway Castle and Llandudno. And this is a place that, Ian and his family, it's quite close. It's not that far, really, from Liverpool. And it's another one. This is a traditional English phone box, but it has a defibrillator in it, which I thought was a really good idea. Hadn't seen that before. And these are pictures, really hard. I've been there a few times, but there's a beautiful bay in Llandudno, and very colourful. And this is where we stayed. We stayed at a guest accommodation that was fabulous, very, very nice. And I have written about that, I think, underneath. And if I haven't, it's something. Yeah, I have. I've written about it here. Okay. It was a nice overnight stay there. We spent some time there. And then the following day, or when we came back from that trip, we went up to Skipton and the Leeds area. So this was Skipton. I bought one of the postcards. We did an hour trip on one of these boats just down the canal. The canal runs from Liverpool to Leeds, so it was interesting. We'd not been to Skipton before, but beautiful town, lovely. Lots of op shops. Maureen and I, Ian's sister, and I had a wonderful time browsing the op shops. Now, I've obviously got another little video here. In Leeds, we actually stayed in Leeds overnight and visited the Royal Armoury. And that, if you've never been, is a very interesting place. A lot of the arms and so forth from the Tower of London are now up in Leeds. They sort of share them. They've got so much stuff there, it's amazing. And these pictures were taken in Skipton. Yeah, these were taken in Skipton on this river canal boat. Some of the beautiful old restored buildings, absolutely fabulous. Really enjoyed that. The only trouble that day was it was particularly cold and very windy. And this is a terrible picture. I know it, so I know what I'm looking at. And that's the right way round. That's in the very modern, purpose-built Royal Armouries. Definitely worth a visit. Okay, drop that down. And I will stop this part of the video and show you another clip. Okay, so moving on the 9th of July, we headed off to Paris, and we flew from, well actually we flew crazy, Manchester to London, and then London across to Charles de Gaulle in Paris, which was, you know, weird, but that's the way the booking went. And we joined the Avalon riverboat. This is my husband standing outside the boat. We were the last to join because the flights were delayed from the UK, and unfortunately, once we got there, we rushed to get on a plane, and our bags didn't make it. So we had to hang around at the airport for an hour waiting for our bags to come through on the next flight. You know, we had a few little issues. Travelling is stressful sometimes. But however, once we got there, it was fabulous. I mean, the boat, I mean, we'd done this, we'd travelled with these people before and we knew what to expect. They were, you know, second to none, fabulous, really good. So we started our trip in Paris. So here I've started to use more postcards for better pictures, really. But I've spoken about our first day in Paris, where we did a coach ride, really, in the morning to see all the sights. And we went to this particular building, and I'm not even going to attempt some of these names. It's one of the highest points other than the Eiffel Tower, but from this point you can see the Eiffel Tower, so they took us there. It was rather nice, actually. Obviously lots of pictures of the Eiffel Tower, the Seine River, this, I didn't know whether to write about all these. This is quite a well-known building with the gold roof. Les Enfants, I said I wouldn't try and attempt these words. But yeah, you can see there's some fabulous, we had to do that one. That's a little dot in the background is the Eiffel Tower. There's another famous site and some of the buildings in Paris, just fabulous. I mean, it's a city, it's busy. It was busy because it was getting ready for the Olympics. So there were lots of areas you couldn't go. I've written a bit about it, but I am going to write more. I've put these in here because I will probably add a page. It was a lot to write about Paris, obviously. I mean, I've been there a couple of times before. But yeah, it was interesting. Interesting because they were getting ready for the Olympics too. Okay, here we go. This was another day on our tour, probably the next day, yeah, the 11th. was all about Vincent van Gogh. We went down to the area where he did a lot of his painting, you know, the cornfields. These are the actual cornfields. We walked around there, the church, the village, very picturesque, as you can see. It was lovely. I almost got the room where he painted there. It was this tiny little room. We actually visited this as part of our trip. Very interesting. I could say lots about that part of the trip. It was beautiful. Okay, the 12th, Les Andelys, which was another interesting area. So many beautiful buildings here. And from here we went to Rouen, which is a big city in France. Beautiful buildings again. Oh, that was one of the sites in Les Andelys. This is the ruins of Richard the Lionheart's Hilltop Castle. Some of the group walked up there, we didn't. We stayed in the town to have a look around. Rouen, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Beautiful buildings, clock towers. And over here you can see we went to the cathedral, and very impressive. I mean, this building is impressive. It's like, you know, lacework almost. The detail is so fine, it's wonderful. And obviously it wasn't a particularly nice day. I'm rugged up there. And funnily enough, the day before we visited Rouen, they had a fire here in the area that they are doing some restoration work on the spire. And luckily they managed to put the fire out quite quickly. There was no real damage. Yes, no damage, luckily. I think they've learned a lot from the fire at Notre Dame, which is, the restoration work is coming along really well there. I think probably it will be open next year. We only saw it from a distance. We didn't get up close. Okay, so another postcard of Rouen. The sights. It is a very interesting town, or city really. These are more pictures from Rouen, and I've just popped them in here, and I intend to write a bit more on the backs of postcards. Okay, also in Rouen, they have, this area is where they burnt Joan of Arc at the stake. And there is a very beautiful modern church that they call the Joan of Arc's church. And inside, it is quite modern, lots of timber, but these beautiful windows that were taken from another ruined church and placed here, and they are spectacular. It's a statue to Joan. This is supposedly the place that she was burnt at the stake. So I've written a fair bit about all of that and just tucked those in here. This was another day. This was on the 13th, and we did what they called the Abbey tour. So many churches and abbeys and church ruins. A lot of them they are, working on to try and bring back. Some of them, are definitely tourist spots. You can walk through and just see. I mean, this area was lovely. You can see at this point of the holiday, I had a cold and I was feeling a bit yucky, to tell the truth. But I didn't want to miss this because this day was quite full on. There were lots of things that we did that day along the Abbey route. And this was one of the churches. That's the name of the Abbey. And here, this was particularly lovely, this place. And I've used, what's that? Oh, that's just a view as we travelled along the Seine. I've popped in there. I've made this envelope with a page from a book that I bought, and I'll talk about that. It's we went on the same day to this lovely little town. Can't remember the name of it. It was beautiful. I think it was the next day. It was on Bastille Day, so it was quite busy. And they had lots of people sitting out, very pretty houses, but they had an antique fair that we walked around, and I picked up this book, which was lovely, a really old book, and I also picked up a pack of postcards. I don't know, there'd probably be about 30 postcards, really old ones, so I was thrilled to get those. One of the other abbeys we went to was here. Turn that over. And this was the brother who showed us around. He was, I can't remember now whether he was a brother or a father, but his name was Julius. And we literally, this door is massive. That little section in the middle opened, and we walked in through that door, and that was the view. Fabulous buildings. It is a working abbey. They are still renovating certain areas, rectifying the dilapidated areas. That too was on site. How wonderful is that? And this was an actual little chapel there, little church. And I've tried to find the name of this place. I have hit the landmarks on my photos because unfortunately I had that location turned off. So one day I will find out where that is and add that to the picture. So as I say, it was a busy day that day, and then the 14th was busier still. We went to Caudebec and then returned to Rouen. We were back in Rouen for the fireworks. Okay. On this day, we went to see the Bayeux Tapestry. Now, you can't take pictures of the Bayeux Tapestry, sadly. That's the ticket to enter. And, it is amazing. This tapestry is extremely long. I think, have I written? Yes, it's 224 foot long. It's made up in sections, but the embroidery is exquisite even now, and it's extremely old. It was made about the time, or it told the story of 1066 and the Battle of Hastings. Really, it tells the story of the Duke of Normandy and how he talks about the conquest of England. Okay, so that's that. We also on that day went to the Calvados distillery, which was interesting. This beautiful house was the owner's home, but they apparently don't live there now. I can't imagine not living in that place. It's absolutely beautiful. We did a bit of tasting, but definitely not my thing. On this page, I just added a couple of pictures. The shops display their goods so well. It's beautiful, and we saw several, but I've just picked those two. Okay. Also on the 14th, we travelled by coach down towards Le Havre, and we visited the seaside town of Honfleur. Let me tell you, it's absolutely gorgeous. I took so many pictures down here. I've added a few to this envelope. Just see what this is. Oh yeah. So I've printed these just to paper. It's a little harbour town. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Pop that in. Beautiful floral displays. I'll leave those two for a minute. And this was the harbour, and like I say, beautiful. They decorate the buildings with flower boxes and hanging baskets, just spectacular. And to reach this area, we crossed this amazing bridge, and I took this picture from the window of the coach. Very hard to get a good picture of that, but it was quite amazing, very modern bridge. And on the edge of town, they have two of these sculptures, one either side of the road, and they are made to represent the drills that they use to drill for these pylons. So I thought that was quite interesting. I've added a picture of that. And I've also added a couple of other pictures from around the area. This would have to be the smallest car I've ever seen. Tiny. Looks like a toy there. I mean, that's a van. You can see the size difference. And this was a very pretty building that was at Caudebec. It was actually outside of these buildings here, the Abbey. But I thought that was rather nice. And I've got a few more pictures in here, and I intend to write a little bit. Just travelling along the Seine, it's beautiful. This one is in Les Andelys. Lovely buildings, say, just beautiful with the country in the background. That's another shot of the castle, Richard the Lionheart's castle, and just another pretty view. I mean, I like doors and windows, and I've got quite a few on my camera roll. So I'll pop those in there, and I will stop this part of the video and show you a quick video clip. Back in a moment. Okay, so sorry, some of that was a bit dark. Hopefully you could see. But this was also, these were, I took a picture of the size of a couple of apartment buildings, and I think this was probably in, well, I'm not sure, it wasn't down on the coast, it was probably Caudebec. Or it could have been Les Andelys, but I thought it was fabulous, you know, graffiti if you like, but so much better than most of the graffiti you see around. I absolutely loved that. The last day of our trip, I was actually sick. I had no voice at all, and just felt, you know, was running a bit of a temperature. So decided, rather than get on a coach and go off to Monet's Gardens we were supposed to go to, I stayed put. I stayed on board, just enjoyed sitting on the boat, relaxing. It wasn't such a bad day, it was quite nice. I think probably we did a bit of packing. So I've written a bit about all of this here, and added it in this pocket. The last night on the boat, they did like a gala dinner. And, you know, I've got to tell you, the food on this boat is amazing. And I keep calling it a boat, and they refer to it as the ship, which is fair enough. But, yeah, the food was fabulous. And I had to take a picture of this because, you know, everything was always presented really well. And they fed us 3 big meals a day, plus afternoon's tea if you wanted. And there were always bits around, you know, there was coffee stations in a couple of places with cold drinks, coffees, teas, whatever you wanted. And generally scones or biscuits or whatever. So, you know, you literally didn't go hungry on this trip. But that gala dinner was quite lovely. And they, at that time, they introduce you to all the behind the scenes team, really, the people that you don't come into contact with during the cruise. And I've got to say, apart from the cruise director, who was fabulous, you know, there were several people who were really good on that cruise. We were most impressed with the captain, who saw us on and off the boat on many occasions. You know, it was really, really lovely. It was a fabulous experience, and we've done it twice now, and we'd probably go again. So on that last day, what we did, we were heading back to London, and here I am standing at the Eurostar station in Paris, all masked up, because, as I say, I was pretty sick there. I had no voice at all, and just really wanted to get to the next spot. And I'd been so looking forward to London because there were a few things I wanted to do. But I'm writing here about when we arrived in London. We arrived at St Pancras, and we were met by one of the tour operators, taken to our hotel. And our hotel was on the South Bank in the city, and it was, you know, a fabulous location right beside the London Eye. Easy walk across Westminster Bridge across to London. And the areas that we really wanted to spend some time, Westminster, I particularly wanted to go to Horse Guards, things like that. So we were well located for that. I've got maps and all sorts that I'm keeping in this folder. But when we reached St Pancras, there was, don't know if you've ever watched on YouTube, there's a guy who plays what I call plinkety-plonk piano music. And he can be quite controversial sometimes, but he's good fun. And as we walked through St Pancras, there he was playing on his piano. It was lovely to see him. He was the first of my sort of YouTube people that I'd seen. Yeah, typical London scenes. I had to have a picture over at Westminster, standing outside a phone box. This is at Trafalgar Square with a double-decker bus. And I've used one of the bags from bits that we bought, you know, postcards and so on. Part of our tour was a dinner and a show. We went to see Les Miserables, and I've got that ticket there. No smart tickets, they're all computer generated, which is sad. And this was our ticket for the London Eye. So I've just popped those in there. And I may well add some map pages. I've got some other bits and bobs, but my book was getting a bit chunky, so I've just left them out for now. I've made a pocket of that, and I talk about checking in at the Park Plaza Country Hall, which is where we stayed. The first day we were there, we did a coach tour around the sites. However, that wasn't particularly successful because that day was the day of the King's speech in Parliament. So there was a big procession with the gold coach going through the city, and I would have loved to have seen that. We actually saw, the night before, we saw some rehearsals for the parade, and I will show you a little video of that in a moment. But instead we did this tour, which everybody did, and in all truth, it was a bit of a disaster because they couldn't take us to some of the places they planned. We ended up at St Paul's Cathedral, which was planned, and that was fabulous. Fabulous to go in there. I've only ever seen it from the outside. And we enjoyed that. Yeah, I've written about, this was some of the rehearsals. Now, this horse here is called Juno. He is the latest of the horses to carry the drums. He was named just recently by the Queen. I took that the night that they were rehearsing for a military musical spectacular that we had I been feeling better, we would have gone to. I just didn't think that I could do a day of sightseeing and then go on and sit and watch this spectacular. And it was a really hot day that day. But we actually saw some of the rehearsals the day before. So that's what that's all about. Same here. These are some other troopers. These are the hussars getting ready for that. So I've put that into this pocket. As I say, I've got a little video. Yeah, here's St Paul's Cathedral. Very difficult to get a really good shot of that. But however, I mean, I could have got postcards, I guess. But that's it here. That we did on the 17th. On the 18th, we had our trip booked for the London Eye, and oh, that was amazing. I was a bit dubious, but I really enjoyed it. It moves very slowly, and you get a fantastic view of London. And I have got a couple of little clips, I think, of that, or at least more photos somewhere. Yeah, okay. And I've written here about the 19th. The 19th we went to the London Gallery, the National Gallery rather, and we did that because our flight was due to leave late on, and we wanted to, you know, we had to check out of hotels, etc. They looked after our bags, but we went up to the gallery and had a look around there, and that was where we saw some of Van Gogh's paintings, which was lovely. This talks about going to Les Miserables. We walked up to Shaftesbury Avenue, but we actually caught the tube back because, as I say, I was feeling pretty rough, but that was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I could watch that so many times. It wouldn't bother me at all. There's always something fabulous about it. Here's a picture of the London Eye, of course, and I talk a bit about that. Here are my pictures taken from the Eye. Yeah, this I think was on the way up. Not too high up there. You get a really beautiful view of Westminster and Big Ben. And that is Buckingham Palace from the London Eye. So I've written a bit about those here. Flick it over. And this is where we get to one of the things I really wanted to do. I follow one of the channels that films at Horse Guards, and I wanted to go and see the changing of the guard for myself. So I do have a little video, a couple of videos here about this day. Actually, we went up there a couple of times. It, you know, I think these guys are amazing. They are very patient. Tourists can be dreadful, quite rude at times, but these are working soldiers, and this is part of their military duty, if you like. The Blues and Royals here and the King's Guards in red. So the Blues and Royals are always in the darker blue colours and the King's Guard in red. And I've literally just written that on those scraps of paper there. And in here, what have I got in here? Yeah, I've said here, we walked up to Horse Guards after lunch. I have huge respect for the men and women who serve in the armed forces. They're fighting soldiers who also guard the king and represent the forces in ceremonies and state occasions. And I talk about following this guy on YouTube, and we actually spoke to him. We had a chat with him, and there is a little clip of us somewhere on YouTube at Horse Guards. And this is the parade ground at the back. This is where they show the trooping of the colour. So yeah, that was fun. Really fun to do that. Buckingham Palace. Okay, I'm going to stop here and add the little video of horse guards that I have. I've obviously left that empty. I've got quite a bit to write about this. So I'll stop here and show you the video clip. Okay, so Buckingham Palace, of course, we've all seen pictures of the front of Buckingham Palace, and this is the balcony that you often see the royal family standing on. The Victoria Memorial at the front, and the beautiful, beautiful gardens at the end of the mall. Just lovely. It was a lovely day that day, and lots of people around, obviously. I've added one of these postcards. I bought a couple. I think I've got one somewhere of the late Queen. And added that in and written a bit about, you know, the gardens around the city. London is a huge city, but there are some beautiful gardens. This one in St James's Park, which is, you know, quite famous, and very, very beautifully maintained. And this here was along the side of the Thames. Not too sure what this building was at the back, but the gardens were absolutely magnificent. So I added those pictures. And then here we've got a few of the scenes around London, the sights, you know, London Bridge, the Big Ben, my husband playing silly devils, and of course the London Eye. In here, I've probably, let's have a look what I've got in here, probably more pictures. Of course I took loads and loads of photos, and you can't put them all in, but there you go. There's a few sites around Downing Street, Wellington Arch, Westminster Abbey, which unfortunately we left it to the last minute trying to go in there, and you needed a ticket, which we didn't have, so sadly didn't get to go in there. Here's the Queen Mother and her late husband King George. They are memorials in London. Had to take a picture of this building. It was a very narrow, not apparently the narrowest building, but I thought it was spectacular. I loved that, thought it was great. Nelson's Column. This was taken the day we did the bus trip around the sites, and this was the Tower of London, of course, and Big Ben. So lots of room to write on there, and I've got lots to write about London. It was fabulous. We had a wonderful time. We had some nice meals out, met up with a couple of the American tourists who were on the river cruise with us. I should say that, you know, the trip was Paris to Normandy, and a lot of people were on there to go to the Normandy landing grounds, the cemeteries. So the Americans in particular, there were a few Brits as well who wanted to go. We chose instead to go to the Bayeux Tapestry. I'd heard from family members who'd been that it was a bit, you know, a bit of a sad place in a way, beautifully maintained, but, you know, I really didn't want to end the trip in Paris on that kind of note. So we chose something different. This was our last day in London. Yeah, I'm talking about flying back up towards Liverpool. We actually didn't get back into Liverpool till about midnight because, again, the flight was delayed. yeah, we went up to the National Gallery. So it's Trafalgar Square once more there. And then, of course, it was back to Liverpool for the last part of our holiday. And for the last part of our holiday, we spent more time with family and friends. And on this day, we went with Ian's sister and her husband to Llangollen. And Llangollen is a place that we know quite well. Ian's parents used to have a sighted caravan in Llansantffraid, and I mentioned that in this piece of writing here. And we used to go into Llangollen for the day. It's lovely. It's on the river, as you can see. On this particular day, we had lunch here, and we crossed the river and found this amazing antique shop. Oh my goodness, I could have spent hours in there. They had some amazing things, books, all kinds. I actually bought, what did I buy in there? I think I bought the railway. Yeah, I did. I bought the cigarette cards in there and a vase, a beautiful vase, which is, my husband actually, as well, he liked it because he sort of rolled his eyes when I said, I'd like to take this home. It is a vase depicting some of Lowry's paintings. So that now sits on my dresser at home. So yeah, I talk about memories of spending time around here when Ian's parents were alive. We used to travel up for the weekend. It was wonderful. All right, now here, this was on the 30th of July. I have my youngest brother. I have 5 brothers. My youngest brother lives in the north, and we went over twice and saw him, and they put on lovely lunch, and his 2 girls were there for both occasions, and their children, their eldest daughter, who was just a baby when we left the UK, she was about 1 year old, just before her first birthday, I think we left. She now has 2 children. And then the younger one, who was born after we left the UK, she has 1 little boy. So I've popped that in there. And on our first visit, they hadn't told Lauren that we were going. And Lauren's due to be married next year, next May. And they've organised a hold the date for us. So we may well be going back again next May. Just not sure at the moment. But they didn't tell her we were over in the UK. And the first trip was within, a few days of us being home. We went over and had lunch with them, and they took us round to a house as a surprise, and she was surprised, and she was able to give us the save the date car, so that was nice. I talk about that here. Actually, I've covered that over. And then on our second day, as I say, we went up, and the children were there. And we had a fun day with them. It was a particularly warm day, and they were playing in a paddling pool in the backyard. And this is my brother, my youngest brother, with his 3 grandchildren. Now, one of my other brothers came up and spent a couple of days in Liverpool, and we booked in to the same hotel so that we could spend as much time as possible with them. They'd made the effort to come up. I was thrilled about that, really thrilled. My brother's had a bit of an issue with his eyes, just detached retinas. So the fact that he did that journey, I was thrilled. This is their son, and that's my sister-in-law here. And this was taken at the Albert Docks. We spent, the day they arrived, we just caught up. It was Sam's birthday, so we went out and had a birthday dinner, which was lovely. And the next day we spent sightseeing around Liverpool. They've never been to Liverpool. And the docks, the Albert Docks, which is beautiful. We did a run all round. the library. My sister-in-law was a librarian, so we took them to the Picton Library, which she absolutely loved. So we spent a couple of days with them, which was fabulous. I've written here this. We were walking across. We used to park the car away from town and walk down through St George's building. And one day they were filming. They do a lot of filming around Liverpool. I am assuming it's because of some of the older buildings. There are still lots of cobbled streets around. Down by the docks is pretty, Peaky Blinders, I think, was filmed down there. And this was some filming happening up near the city. And it was funny, I was talking to one of the ADs and said, what's happening here? And he said, it's an early episode of The Fast and Furious, which made me laugh. I said, cheeky. It certainly wasn't. It was a movie for Netflix, and it's supposed to be set in Ireland. So, I took a couple of shots. So that was a fun day, and it quite took me back. I used to work in TV drama for a little while. So, that was interesting. Another day, and I'm not sure I've dated this, but it was towards the very end of our holiday. These are friends of ours who we got together with a few times while we were over there. We had dinners and lunches, and we visited a couple of different places. And this was Old Rufford Hall, which is a lovely building. We've been there before, and there is, it's fabulous inside. So I talk a bit about that here. You walk, the gardens are beautiful. We walked through the gardens, we went into the house. There was a member of public actually played the piano in there, and it was incredible. And when I got home, my sister-in-law said, yes, her granddaughter who plays piano, she actually played a piece at the same piano, and she is quite an accomplished, for her age, pianist. So that was really interesting. We walked from here to a church which was originally the church belonging to or built by the same people who were the Hesketh family, that's right. And the church is still standing. It needs a bit of repair, but it is a beautiful building. And from there we walked to the canal, because the canal runs at the end of this property, and it's part of the Liverpool to Leeds Canal. And from there we found this little spot where there were so many canal boats and people living on them, and I thought that was quite interesting. When we joined our friends, we were all a bit sad because there'd been this terrible stabbing in Southport, which started all kinds of demonstrations around the UK. Troubled times in the UK, really, quite sad. People are frustrated. Frustration comes out in all sorts of ways. And once this happened, it did cause a few problems. And these friends of ours live close to Southport, and they were telling us how shocked everybody was in their area, and it's not hard to understand. I mean, it was a terrible thing. Anyway, these are just the last few pages. We went, of course, my husband is a Liverpudlian, and I say here in Liverpool, you either support Liverpool or Everton. You're either a red or a blue. Red for Liverpool, blue for Everton. And this was a visit to the Liverpool souvenir shop. It's, you can buy all the strip the Liverpool strip and all kinds of goodies. We bought a few bits to bring back as gifts. So that was the day there. These are the family dogs. This is my sister-in-law's dog, Honey, and my niece's dog, who looks very sorrowful there. That's Piper. So I had to add them in because they were a big part of our holiday. We spent a fair bit of time with them. And then on our last day, sad, but a holiday comes to an end. The 6th of the 8th, we were picked up at 5 a.m. and taken to Manchester for our flight to Doha, and then from Doha to Sydney. And this time, luckily, we only had a 3-hour delay, which, you know, by the time you go to the lounge and freshen up, have some breakfast or a snack, you know, it's time to board the aeroplane. And over here, I've got more boarding passes. And we got back into Sydney late on, too late for planes up to Port Macquarie, or trains for that matter. And we planned to go by train because we'd done a fair bit of shopping while we were away. And you are, although on the main flight as business class passengers, you get extra weight allowance for your luggage, but you don't on the internal flights. And we definitely wouldn't have got away with that. So we knew we had to go on the train. As it was, we bought some extra luggage. We bought an extra, really a weekender type roll-on bag. And with that, you know, we made the trip no problem at all. So, yeah, we overnighted in Sydney, got up, had a leisurely breakfast, and then caught the train back home, where we were met by friends who took us back to the house. And my husband, being my husband, decided we needed to unload suitcases there and then, which we did. The washing machine was all set up for the following day, and that was it, back to normal. In here, I've just got a couple of bits yet to be done. A few odd pictures. What's this? Oh, this was, I said in the UK, you know, they have demonstrations. In London, I think every day just about there was a demonstration. This, however, was a peaceful march through town, and it was very peaceful. And they were handing out these flyers explaining what it was about. And I took one and read it, and I thought, yes, you know, it's amazing. This was a peaceful demonstration, and it was all about, you know, being a bit more peaceful in life. So I've put it in there, it really is a reminder. So that is that. Yeah, that's it. 2 months in a nutshell. My journal, as I say, full. I will do a bit more writing in there. I definitely need to keep this piece of ribbon, and this ribbon was on one of the little packages they gave you when you boarded the aeroplane. With your toiletries. You know, it's quite nicely done, and it was wrapped in this ribbon, and I thought, well, I will keep that, and it's come in very handy. So there you go. That is it. Rather a long video. I'm sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you soon. It will be a few days, I think, before I get back into the swing. I've tidied my craft room up, but I want to just get myself organised a bit more so that I know what I'm going to be doing going forward. All right, thank you so much for sticking with me, and I will see you soon. Bye now.